Recently, SBI has changed the Great Axe, making it better for PvP and worse for PvM. This change has made it so now it is no longer the best weapon at clearing solo dungeons and instead has been replaced by the one-handed spear. Now, a quick disclaimer before we get into the build: there's a lot of debate about what is actually the best weapon for doing solo dungeons now, but quite frankly, that debate just comes down to what tier solo dungeons are doing versus how high IP you are running. A lot of people think that bowcasters are the best, and this is true if you're running very low tier dungeons with very high tier gear, because you can 1 to 2 shot mobs with your Qs. If you're running a similar dungeon tier to your gear tier, so tier 7 gear with tier 7 dungeons, then the one-handed spear build is far superior at clearing them. So taking a look at the build now, it's actually quite similar to what you would see in a Great Axe build. Obviously for your weapon you have the one-handed spear. For the shoes, really any leather shoes with refreshing sprint will work just fine, and for the rest of the build you have a couple options. On your helmet slot, it's almost always going to be Stalker Hood, although if you are running into mana issues, you can choose to run Scholar Cowl instead. If you have a lot of money, you can also use Cowl of Purity with similar effectiveness to the Stalker Hood. For chest piece, really you have two main options. The first route you can go is Cleric Robe, and the second one is Spectre Jacket. Cleric Robe gives you a higher just base damage potential, so all your attacks will do higher damage on default and allows you to do larger pulls with its ability, whereas Spectre Jacket just gives you another ability to help clear mobs. For offhand, you can go Torch as a cheap option. Mist Collar is also good if you want to go higher to CDR, or you can go Crypt Candle if you want to go more into damage. For cape, you're going to want to use Thetford Cape, although you can again switch to Limmer's Cape if you're finding yourself having some mana issues. For your food, you're going to want regeneration food, so really any fish, but I would suggest Black Bog Clam Soup. This soup gives you a fair amount of health regen, but it also gives you some energy regen as well to help with some mana issues. For potions, you don't really use potions too much in dungeons. Obviously, if you go poisons, you can help speed up your clears, especially against bosses. I usually take some invis potions because I don't like waiting at the start of dungeons for them to close, just in case I get dove. For your passives on all of your armor, you want to go either the cooldown passive or the damage passive. Which one is more efficient completely depends on your spec, what tier gear you're using, what kind of dungeon you're doing, and what tier of dungeon you're using. So in general, I would suggest on all of your cloth armor pieces going the damage passive, and all of your leather armor pieces going the cooldown passive. On your spear, for the fastest clear, you want to be going the last passive, the attack speed one, as it will allow you to kill bosses much faster. However, if you're just starting out, the lifesteal passive can provide a nice way to stay healthy while you do your dungeon. So the majority of the way that you clear as a one-handed spear is that you go up to the mob group, you first activate your Stalker Hood for 20% bonus damage, and then you hit them with one Q, go into a full channel duration W, and then your Q will be up by the time it's over. For the vast majority of mobs, this will kill them, and for some mobs will be left with just a little bit of health, but you'll have your Q stacks up and your autos will do a lot of damage, plus your Thetford Cape will be able to finish them off, no problem. You can use your refreshing sprint in between mob groups to allow you to get to them faster, and to make sure your abilities are back up for the next group. If you get to another mob group and your W is not up yet, then you can transition over to using your E on that mob group, and then going back to your W for the next one. On some mob groups, such as like the elite mobs, you can use both your W and E on them. For bosses, make sure you use poisons if you have them, but a lot of the heavy lifting in bosses is actually going to be done by your passive Q stacks as well as your auto attacks, especially with the attack speed passive. Spears do a lot of damage if you just start wailing on things with auto attacks when you have max Q stacks. Once the boss is under half health, you get the extra added benefit of your Stalker Hood giving a pierce to give you even more damage on your W. A helpful tip for bosses is that after you use your E, say maybe to dodge a skill or just to do more damage, you can use your refreshing sprint and then spam Qs to get your stacks back up to 3 very quickly. Okay, that's all you need to know to clear solo dungeons in record speed. I hope this guide has helped you out a little bit into clearing your dungeons faster. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, feel free to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one.